All right, it's time for real, raw recovery. I'm Joe Tilley
Tyler Tillian Bangkok.
in Bangkok. And let's start things off with the Serenity We prayer. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, courage to change the things we can, and wisdom to know the difference. The reading, a clean sweep. And third, having thus cleaned away the debris of the past, we consider how, with our newfound knowledge of ourselves, we may develop the best possible relations with every human being we know. 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, page 77. As I faced the 8th step, everything that was required for successful completion of the previous 7 steps came together. Courage, honesty, sincerity, willingness, and thoroughness. I could not muster the strength required for this task at the beginning, which is why this step reads, became willing. I needed to develop the courage to begin the honesty to see where I was wrong, a sincere desire to set things right, thoroughness in making a list, and willingness to take the risks we required for true humility. With the help of my higher power in developing these virtues, I completed this step and continued to move forward in my quest for spiritual growth. Okay.
I had a really good chat with my sponsor. Are you there?
Yep.
My sponsor, Greg, yesterday night or Sunday night? Sunday night, I think.
What did you guys talk about?
A ton of stuff. But I'm just so grateful for him because he just, not his lifestyle, but his just belief system really aligned. Like he has his core beliefs that are pretty much unshakable.
Yeah.
But he really just believes kind of like the second frontier and emotional sobriety and Bill Wilson's take on that and like a lot of the verbiage that's used like in these readings is really good for people in their first year. And it's helpful and it's just, and it doesn't mean that's not pertinent in my life today, but it's just like, if it doesn't have a stinging reaction, then why do I don't enjoy trying to force it into my life today if it doesn't have like an emotional relevance or like, so like I'm just kind of searching through this and I'm like, okay, I can like formulate thoughts around this, but it's not like it doesn't, and there's a fine line because there's a fine line. It's not just that, okay, my message is I'm downplaying it and it's useless. No, it's not my message. I'm just trying to I'm just being really honest. So and I want to catch myself if I start to diminish it or demean it. It's not my intention at all because it's very helpful. And there are times where this could be relevant again, or and even in 5 minutes. But like when you just read all that, it was just like, okay. And I think for a lot of people, it's like brand new material. It's very useful, especially when the first time you're going through this and you actually are contacting people in the past that you've harmed, or you have some really major conflicts that you need to clean up, and things in your past that really still haunt you. Like that's really healthy. That's healthy behavior. And then but my message is always, okay, fast track 20 years now. So it doesn't mean that it's not useful and it's not helpful, but I just have to stretch so far when I read this, it's like, okay, like, yeah, great. And so it's kind of like the last thing it said, on my quest for spiritual growth. And again, like, I feel like for you, and if someone's listening, I'm not trying to, this is not beneath me, but it's just like, if it doesn't strike a chord, I'm not being honest then if I just go along with it. And I just, like, I really believe there's a second and third and fourth frontier that it talks about, like the spiritual growth. And this verbiage is not on that plane, man. It's just not. It's not even in the wheelhouse. So it's just interesting. This is an interesting perspective, and it's interesting because for you, it's right there. It's just that, like, means so much. It's everything, and what is God is everything or is nothing. Like, it's everything. Like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like, just different, like a bit of a different take for sure. Because if I didn't say all that and I just let you run off, you would have had a bunch of things to say about this reading, I'm assuming.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I disagree with you on that. Because what I see it when I see something, when I read something like this, as I face the 8th step, everything that was required for successful completion of the previous 7 steps came together: courage, honesty, sincerity, willingness, and thoroughness. I could not muster the strength required for this task at the beginning, which is why this step reads became willing. I needed to develop the courage to begin, the honesty to see where I was wrong, a sincere desire to set things right, thoroughness in making a list, and willingness to take the risks required for true humility. With the help of my higher power in developing these virtues, I completed this step and continued to move forward in my quest for spiritual growth. And what all those things, all those those positive characteristics like courage, honesty, sincerity, willingness, and thoroughness, a sincere desire to set things right, thoroughness in making a list, willingness to take the risks required for true humility. As I look at those things, I mean, those are our character assets, which I really strive to have, and I really want to have all that stuff. But I have to constantly ask myself on a daily basis, right? Do I have the courage, honesty, sincerity, willingness, and thoroughness? Can I muster the strength required to, to continue to set right the wrongs the mistakes I make as I go along, to the people I hurt as I go along, and the people I have hurt? Have I cleaned up the wreckage of the past in all aspects of my life? And maybe I have, and maybe I haven't. Like, there's one particular 9th step that I'm looking at doing, and in the next little while, and I think I believe I've sort of made an attempt to do it before, and I think I want to do it again. If you know what I mean, it's like I would just want to make sure that it's good, because I want to make sure that I'm good. There seems to be like a little bit of there seems to be a little bit of a. I'm wondering if I have done the utmost to clean up the wreckage of my past with regard to one resentment I have with a person that I used to work with, actually. And so anyway, I started to think about it, and I thought, okay, I think maybe I have to do something with this. And so I'm going to do it. I'm going to do that in the next little while. I'm just going to, and what I'm going to do, remember we did that 5-column inventory. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through that 5-column inventory with that resentment that I had against this person, and make sure that I'm ready to do so when I'm ready to do it.
yeah, I just think like I guess the way that I operate it and is because the gift of recovery, spoiler alert, is yourself. And even if you want to tack on and your relationship with your higher power and the relationship with others. But for me, the number one thing that I was gifted through the program of the program is myself. And
Yeah.
there's like you can kind of fall like if you go backwards like a domino effect like through my uh, through following a program and a design for living and uh, cleaning up the wreckage of my past and working on a relationship with others and my higher power and discovering who I am. Like for me, it's not as textbook anymore about, okay, like, so it doesn't mean that it's, again, that's completely out the window. No, but my day to day, it's not like, oh, I need to do, like, it's kind of just like, this doesn't sit well with me. I need to figure out a solution for it. So it doesn't make me like, oh, I better break out the big book to figure that out. It's more like, okay, this doesn't sit well with me. I know who I am. This is, I've acted, I don't feel good about how this uh, came together, and I'm going to do something about it. It's just like it's the principles, but for me, they don't need to be aligned, or it doesn't need to be, it doesn't need to come from that text in that, it's evolved. It's evolved so much where it's like, because it's not always the same standard procedures anymore either, that often there can be, but like I've just learned like sometimes it's like, no, like, yeah, there's just a lot of self-discovery, and then it's kind of like, and now I'm left with the person that I am. And and today that's really good. That's good, and I'm okay with it. I'm really okay with where I'm at today and what I'm doing, and I feel like my self care is really good today, and I'm aligned as best as I can today, and like it's kind of like, so I don't it's a bit of a different series of words and series of like layout. The layout is not the same, and it's kind of like, it's really important, I believe, to find that. I really believe like the layout of the 12 steps are a miracle, and when you bring them into your life, like I said, like kind of the end result, the spiritual awakening, I would hope, is yourself, is like
Mm-hmm.
your self-discovery, and then running with that. And again, like, okay, there might be times where you really need to clean slate, or clear, like get to go back to grassroots, and kind of go through some a system just to get your bearings, and I think that's important. But there's also like, you should adapt a style of living that works for you, and build off of that platform, not just stick with that platform only. How do you feel about that?
Well, yeah, I think that I think that I have to constantly work at this. I mean, I just don't think I ever have it. For example, I'll just give you an example of yesterday. I went through a little period where I felt emotionally. I felt like here I am, playing golf with a bunch of guys in recovery, and we stayed overnight and watched a really good recovery movie, and it's just it's been lots of fun and everything else. But suddenly, uh, I woke up with a sense of like uh, that I wasn't. I started like having self doubt and feelings of inadequacy and all that stuff, and that the thoughts and the feelings and stuff like that were kind of coming over me, and I thought, like, geez, here I am, like, I've been sober a long time, been doing this deal a long time and helping others and doing all that stuff. Why am I feeling like this? And then I realized that, you know what? this has happened to me, I don't know how many times. When I'll go through, a thought will pop into my head. I'll get into that emotional downer, and and uh, and start to think that there's something wrong with me. I don't measure up. I'm not good enough, or something like that. Those thoughts will start going through my head because that's the old thinking kicks in again, and it used to kick in on a far more regular basis than it does now. And then the answer to not feeling that way anymore would be having a drink. And so now, obviously, having a drink's not a good idea. So what I came to realization is that, okay, I'm just going to pray about this, and realize that, understand that this is a thought. This is maybe these are emotions based on a thought that has popped into my head that is going to go away. So the old proverb or whatever, this too shall pass. This too shall pass. Like that kicks in, and I realize, yes, this too shall pass. This shitty way that I'm thinking about myself right at this particular time is just going to go. And in a very short period of time, once I came to that realization, said a little, like, just a serenity prayer, and just let it go. It wasn't very long after that the thought was gone, and my whole attitude had changed. So you see, my point is that it doesn't matter how long you've been around. It doesn't matter how much work you're doing. There's always these self-sabotaging or self-deprecating or overwhelming self-doubt, whatever it is, can pop in your head at any time, and it doesn't have to stay. It doesn't have to stay. And I think the tools of recovery help me to get rid of that stuff, right? The tools of recovery help me to get rid of those thoughts. And I think that if I'm not doing the work, if I'm not coming back to this stuff all the time, if I'm not looking, if I'm not doing what I can to improve, my self, so that I can have this courage, honesty, sincerity, willingness, and thoroughness in my life, I'm gonna be slip. I believe that I can slip back to a point where I can be locked into that self-doubt, self-deprecation, maybe self-loathing a little bit. Maybe I can get back in there and stay there without the tools of the program. So that's why I think that's why I think that I have to keep working at this stuff, and I don't think I ever want to stop, because complacency, I can only be okay. For a certain amount of time without it. I can only be okay for okay. I can only be okay for a certain amount of time left on my sort of own way of thinking. It's kind of like, I guess, the process of doing this work continuously cleanses my mind, right? Continuously allows me to stay away from selfishness, self-centeredness, dishonesty, all those other things the things that can easily creep into my life if I'm not doing that work. And that's why I think it's important that I just continue to look at that stuff, and don't ever be complacent. Don't ever think that I'm beyond this place where I even have to think about working the program. I'm beyond that point where I think I don't have to worry about an 8-step, or I don't have to worry about 9-step and cleaning up the wreckage and making amends, and like a 10-step really. If I get to that point where, yeah, hey man, I did the steps 5 years ago, I'm good. I think if I get to that point, I'm doomed. Like I don't like being in that place where I'm in self-doubt, and I don't like sometimes, like, the ego takes over and I feel like I'm super duper, and I'm thinking of pretty freaking hot stuff. And then there's other times when I'm thinking that, yeah, you know what, you're kind of a fake. You're kind of not real enough. And you're kind of not good enough, and all those other shitty thoughts that pop in. All that stuff is not good for me, whether I think I'm on top of the world or whether I think I'm, below the snake's belly. Neither of those places are good places for me to be, and it's all based on ego. And the more I'm connected to God, the less I'm in ego. The more I'm connected to the program, the less I'm in ego. And for me, that's I don't like to be in that shitty place. But you know what? I have tools to get out of that shitty place. And I realized right away, if I'm starting to think that, like, I'm better than anybody else, or I'm super superior in some kind of way, then I don't think that's good for me either. Like, it's funny because you left me the question last week. Last week was the question was, where am I the greatest? Where am I the greatest? Where am I the greatest? Or what am I the greatest at?
Yeah. Do you dare confront that and give me an honest answer?
Okay. Yeah, and I thought about that, and I thought when it comes to, because I've got so much experience, I've done this for such a long time, I believe that I am the greatest at analyzing athletic endeavors and being able to pinpoint or sort of pinpoint where the analyze, like, how a sporting event, like being able to analyze how a sporting event unfolded and the keys to the key points that transpired, took place, that led to a victory or a loss. And I can analyze it from both sides, and I can analyze it from both sides, the winning side, losing side. I can tell you what the key aspects of that loss or victory were, and I can, generally speaking, communicate that in an understanding way, in a way that's, where you can understand it. Because when I break down an event and I think about it and analyze it, break down anything. I'm talking about even trades, for example. When I look at all the sides of it and everything else, I'm in my humble opinion, I'm the greatest when it comes to doing that.
So again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what I'm hearing is that you're the greatest sports analyst ever.
Yeah.
Doesn't that feel good?
Yeah, it does. But even as I'm saying it, I question it.
Yes, because you're afraid.
Yeah. Even as I say, I question it, and I think, well, that's, how can you say that?
Right.
I mean, but it just seems to me, right, in my mind, the way I see it, the way I break it down and see it and everything else, I believe I'm right. So I believe I'm right. So therefore, I think I'm the greatest at doing that. But having said that,
why do you have to? I feel.
Well,
like,
no, I don't have to qualify it. I don't have to qualify.
Yeah, why do you have to backpedal?
Yeah.
And that's that's the second frontier. I really believe, like, that's like, once you open these gates to your potential and you like, it doesn't mean you can't throw things in your backpack from your past in recovery and bring them along for the ride. And in that backpack definitely should be the big book. I got a big book in Bangkok that's from Toronto. It didn't stay at home, right?
Right.
There's a place in my life for it, in theory, forever. And I'm never, I don't want to, I catch myself backpedaling because we're doing a recovery podcast, but it's a piece of me. It's not the whole game. It's not the whole thing. And it's funny because I listened to your recap of you feeling inadequate and having some shitty thoughts that were bringing you down. And I can relate 110%. And
yep.
my process is very similar to yours, where you deduce that this will not last long. Either a good sleep, a nap, a run, or a walk, in my case, will most likely, by the end of that, will clear it up. If it doesn't, I probably need to call somebody. And then it's like, or reach out. And then it subsides. And my experience, my evidence, I have so much evidence of that, where that is true for me. And if in the rare instance where it's like, okay, this feeling's really not subsiding, where like in my personal life, it would be monetary trouble, right? So that can get me really cursing the shit out of God for not helping me with my money. So I can go down that rabbit hole, but like, I'm just trying to relate to your inadequate feeling. But I immediately don't just go, oh, I should have a drink. That's not my go-to today. And I'm not immune, and I'm not claiming that I'm immune to that. And that if I don't take care of myself a month, a day from now, if I don't manage myself in a healthy manner, it can get really dicey fast. Fine, no problem. I'm not denying that. But when I have a shitty thought, or I curse God for not taking care of me how I think he should, for not stepping up, I don't go, well, now that we got that out of the way, I can have a drink finally, because that's what I really wanted this whole time. That's not what I want. The reason that's not what I want is because my life outweighs that option. If I let my life fucking fall apart and I see that like everything's gone to shit, then a drink might be an option. And that's where I have a big problem. That even after 20 years, I still think that there's a solution in that. I can get there. I'm not saying that, but in my day-to-day, based on my experience and my evidence, when I have like even a crippling moment of everything is, I just know that there's a few things that really work well in my life that will help that subside. Then, again, in these extreme circumstances, that does not happen. I have tools, I have step work, I have people that will take care of all of them. But like, before I get there, there's so many things that I look at that I've discovered. That's why I go back to my self-discovery. It's not just automatically like, and there's a lot of times where you can clearly go, oh, well, you're just working a 10th step.
So okay, but what tools in the what tools are you talking about? So it sounds like you said it almost sounds like you've got two sets of tools. One and the last set of tools you use are the tools of the program. Is that what I'm hearing?
There's a lot of intertwining, but there's a lot. It's based on my self-knowledge and my self like awareness and my
right. But where does that come from? The self-knowledge and self-awareness, right? Where does that come from?
Well, that's why we're doing a recovery.
Popped in your head?
No,
it just popped in your head.
It's 18 years of sobriety. It's 18 years of being only with myself, and 18 years of figuring out who I am and my relationship with God that's ever evolving. That's my spiritual growth. is like who I am alone,
Mm-hmm.
and alone with my thinking and my being and my interactions with others.
Right.
That's
But
it.
okay, right. But is it possible that this stuff here, like we're talking about here, that stuff is in the reading today? Steps came together: courage, honesty, sincerity, willingness, thoroughness. I needed to develop the courage to begin, the honesty to see where I was wrong, a sincere desire to set things right, thoroughness in making a list, the willingness to take the risk required for true humility. Uh, so all these things are happen. I mean, it sounds like all these things are things that you kind of are doing and going through and getting to. It's just because you've been around for a while and you have a way of getting there without breaking it down in this specific way.
And
You know what I'm
my
saying?
verbiage is like, it's just, it's kind of like just everything, like the way that I don't believe it's just semantics. I really think it's the relationship I've developed with myself. I don't use that I don't use a lot of that.
Terminology.
And but even kind of it's not automatically see, like I'll give the program one uh not one, like I'll give uh
Credit.
one credit right now off the bat. Like it's very encompassed, like it really covers the majority of what you need to have a healthy, sustaining uh um life without mood altering substances. I'll give it like it's pretty much in like it can, you can definitely, I really believe that the program will cover that and give you that reprieve one day at a time.
Okay.
I believe that. Then
Right.
as you go along and you learn about who you are and you incorporate that growth into your new life,
Yeah.
things change and angles change and your the relationship that I have with myself is just, it doesn't really have room for, not all, but like I can't remember the last time I just listed off those things that you did, which were um, courage, honesty, sincerity, willingness, and thoroughness. Like for me, I would use words like, is this is not clean. This is not a clean situation, and uh, I'm not sure what needs to be amended or what needs to be cleaned up. Or and often what I've learned is number one, what I really want to give myself is a little bit of time. I want to give myself a little bit of time to reflect and see where things went awry, where things fell apart, where things are good. Do an inventory. Like you can bring it all back, but it's just the my I get a little put off with like the way that like things are, this kind of regimen, and I don't like it doesn't it's not the same puzzle pieces anymore. They're different.
Well, I don't know if this what you're seeing or not, but what I'm going to hear when I'm hearing you talk about that, it's like, okay, so you've been around for a long period of time, and you have like a lot of self-reliance now, and I that's what it sounds like a little bit, and so maybe that's common and maybe that's okay, but my problem is this: when I have a lot of self-reliance, when I have self-reliance, I'm and not God reliance, but I have self-reliance. I and I get, like, I have days when like yesterday I told you about that I was in a shitty place, and it's not a good place, not fun. It's not fun to be there. But also, when I have self-reliance, I also have those periods of where I feel like I've got this going on. I got, hey, I got this. Like I'm on top of the world. Like I'm feeling pretty good. And what I think is that if I fall into the trap of wanting to have self-reliance and wanting to have that, wanting to be in that place where I'm on top of the world and really enjoying it. Like I think I'm really going to enjoy being on top of the world.
Uh-huh.
And so I work to be on top of the world. And then I get those periods where I'm on top, where I'm actually feel like I'm kind of on top of the world. And I feel an emptiness and a hollowness about it. I don't feel it's not what it was cut out to be. And then reversely, on the other side, I get to those shitty places and it's brutal and I don't like it. But the beautiful thing is when I have God reliance versus self-reliance. When I'm in a shitty place, I have the total understanding that this is only temporary. I'm going to get out of this. All I have to do is really basically turn it over, and eventually I'm just going to get out of this, right? And turning it over can be, like you said, go for a walk, pray about it, whatever way you use, whatever type of meditation or whatever it is you use to get out of it, you get out of it. And I don't have that desire to be on top of the world because because my experience has taught me that that's not a great place to be. So what I want to do is I want to have this place where I have the God reliance, and no matter whether things are going good or things are going bad, I know that everything is going to be all okay. And I like that. I like that feeling of knowing that everything is going to be okay. Because when I have the self-reliance and I get to the top of the mountain, it's just the value of that in itself is not enough. And I feel that emptiness. And when I feel crappy, and I'm in self-reliance, then I don't think there's any way out. Because here I am in self-reliance, and I don't feel there's a way out. I feel like this, and I feel like this is me, this is the way I'm feeling, and it's like I'm stuck, and I can't get out. And I'm in a hole, and I can't get out. And that's where self-reliance takes me. So that's why it's not good for me. So to stay with the God reliance thing, I got to continue to do the work. And I mean, you can, and I think from there it is semantics. It is whatever you choose to call it. Whatever, you're not, maybe you're not breaking it down the way it was broken down in this reading. Maybe you're not breaking it down like the sincerity, honesty, courage, sincerity, willingness, thoroughness. You're not breaking it down that way. It's just coming down to a simple thing like, I'm going to go for a walk, or I'm going to call somebody. I'm going to go talk to a drunk. I'm going to go to a meeting. I'm going to do whatever. And I feel better. I feel better. And I pray about it. Let it go. I feel better. And the reason I feel better is because I got some sort of reliance on a power greater than myself. And I think that's basically what it comes down to, is I need to have some sense of a power, whatever that is. I mean, it doesn't have to be God, it doesn't have to be anything specific like that, but it has to be some sense of a power.
Sometimes I think like um, sometimes when I listen to you, I feel like you give God too much credit. I do. I feel like it's kind of like, I do believe, so you got to remember, I always, maybe I'll always end up doing this, but for our conversation's sake and the fact that it's recording, I have a higher power. I'm not debating that. That's not
right.
I'm just saying, when I listen to you, it's kind of like you give God all this credit when at the end of the day, it's just you in the mirror. And
so why do you feel it's necessary to take the credit? Or what do you get out of taking the credit? What do you get out of stroking the ego, taking the credit?
It's not a stroking ego. It's the fact that when
But what do
okay,
you get out of that? What do you get out of
listen
that?
listen to me. At the end of some meetings, they say uh they pledge a poem. What's that poem?
I'm responsible when
Correct.
anyone anywhere. Yeah.
It's not God's responsible. Why isn't it God's responsible?
Okay, because we have to be. If I want to feel good, if I want to feel good about who I am and what I'm all about, then I have to do these things. And again, that's getting back to the program. Like that's kind of what the reading's about today is doing those things. And that's being responsible. When anyone anywhere reaches out for help, I want the hand of aid always to be there. That's all about, that responsibility pledge. So um, if I don't make myself available, if somebody reaches out and I walk away, I'm going to feel like crap, right? I'm going to feel like crap.
I hear you're taking it to a different department. I'm talking about it says I am responsible. In
That's
theory,
right.
the way that you describe your God, the poem should read, God is responsible.
No, because it's the same. It's the same thing as like hey man, I'm going to, get in the passenger seat and let God drive. Well, that's ridiculous. Okay, you're
No,
gonna be
but you
sitting in the
just
passenger seat and the car isn't gonna be moving. Okay, you gotta get in the driver's seat, turn the ignition, work the brake and the gas and the clutch and
but
the gear shift, whatever. If you got a center, I mean, you got to do all those things, and that's what you have to do.
exactly. And so you're
But with
taking
with
credit
with
for
with
that.
but yeah, right. But where am I going? Okay, where's my destination here? I think I'm gonna turn to the power and say, where should I be driving to
And
today,
then
God?
so I guess
Help
you
me
just
help me
stay in the
determine where I
parking
should be
lot.
driving today.
So okay, so you asked me, I was trying to get back to the question you asked me, why do I got to take the credit? Because if you don't take the credit, no one else is taking the credit.
Well, who has to take? Why does somebody have to take credit? Why can't I
Because
just
I
say
am
that
responsible.
the credit is? Yeah, but that's not credit. Credit to me, taking the credit is about ego. To me, taking the credit is determining that somehow uh, I have to get some sort of like pats on the back or you know some sort of recognition for a job well done.
No,
And and you know what? Why not just, to me it's like I feel better. I believe I feel better when I just kind of step back and not take the credit and allow the good things to happen or unfold, and just to be grateful that I get to be a part of that, but not take credit for it.
no, I disagree. So
Okay, okay. So, but here's where it becomes a real problem. Okay, so if I am going to take credit for all these good things, okay. So hey, I'm working with this new guy, and he's sober, and you know what? I think it's because of me, because I've been taking him through the steps, and I've been doing this work with him, and he's sober because of me, right? What happens if he goes out drinking? Uh-oh, he's drunk because of me. Uh-oh, what did I do wrong?
maybe something,
Yes,
you should look at that. Don't
maybe,
just close the door.
oh, sure, maybe. But the bottom line is, I believe that if he stays sober, that's between him and God, and that's my bill, and it's great that I was able to carry the message and be part of that. That's fantastic that I'm able to be part of that, but it's not because of me. And at the same time, if he goes out and gets drunk, that it's not because of me. That's between him and God. I do my best to carry the message. That's what happens, and then and that, so I don't have to take the credit if he stays sober, and I don't have to the uh, take the blame when he doesn't. So that's the whole thing, and so that's one example. And because early in my sobriety, when I was working with other guys, and they wouldn't stay sober, that would kick the crap out of me. And I think, what did I do wrong? I should have gone to his house on the way to work to stop in to say hello, and then he wouldn't have gone out and all this other stuff. No. So I throw that on my sponsor, and he says, no, that's not how it works. It's not your fault he got drunk, and it wouldn't be your it wouldn't be your great glory if he stayed sober. You get to be part of that. Your job is to carry the message, and that's it. It's their job to stay sober with help from the power and whatever you bring to the table to help out. That's great. But it's between them and God. It's not between you and God. Or it's not up to you.
Okay, we got a good one because I am not on that wavelength at all.
Yep.
We got a good one, Pop.
Okay.
You do, because I think you should change the end of that mantra to God is responsible if you're not going to take any responsibility for any of that. So if you're going to take responsibility, then you get credit. That's the way it works. And if the moment that you just give everything away to something, and even to go back to the directions of the God.
But what if they don't get sober? Is it your fault? Is it your fault that you're okay? So I'm taking through the
you're
book
just
and
like,
everything else, and he doesn't stay sober. Is that my fault?
It's a combination. It's not just black and white at all. It's not just
so I should be beating myself up for saying the wrong thing at the wrong time, or
no.
You know, when he asked that question, I answered it that way. No, I should have answered it the other way. That's all about me, right? So I should have done it differently.
No, but what you would ask yourself is, did I do everything I could? Yes. Okay, so that's where you were responsible, correct? You did everything you could to help this guy. You said everything you thought was right. And you even asked for guidance and help from your higher power. And at the end of the day, this guy went his own way.
Yeah.
Right? You're not responsible for another human being, but you're certainly responsible for you. And your interactions with God, everything is on you. It's you. And when I do a good, like let's say I paint something that just turns out miraculous, that I think is amazing, not including anyone else's opinion.
Yeah.
I don't go, God, you did a fucking great job on this one. I say,
well, you know what though? Yeah, but you don't you think that sometimes you have an inspiration there? Sometimes the inspiration comes and you don't know where it came from, but it just comes and it all comes together, works out great, and it is, and you know it's great, and as you're doing it, you know it's great, and then you finish it, and you know it's great, and then it's all great, but at the end of it, you look and you say, geez, man. Thank you, God, for that inspiration. Thank you for all that, because I feel that I was connected, and that's why it's so great.
The truth is, I say that, but I don't leave myself out. I don't take
I that's okay. I understand that. It's okay to not leave yourself out. It's okay to appreciate your own abilities. But at the same time, I have to give credit to
where
the power.
Credit's due. You got to give credit where credit's due.
Right. I have to give credit to the power, and I also have to take, a little bit of responsibility when things aren't good. But I can't be. It can't be all about me for sure. And I really want to make sure that I I give credit to the power, because I'll tell you why. Ultimately at the end of the day, it's when those guys don't make it, when people die. I'm not responsible for that. I'm not the reason that they died.
Fine.
I'm not the reason they didn't make it, right?
Yeah, but like that should be.
But isn't that kind of important to know that?
For me, that's pretty clear to see that that's not your responsibility. Like, you do your best, you try to help people, and people's paths are people's paths. Being a human being. Like you can't.
Yeah, but if they make it, and I go, hey, congratulations, Joe, they made it. That Fred over there made it. Congratulations, Joe. Fred made it. Oh, you're well. Yeah. Thank you, man. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
no,
I did a lot.
But like, I would not expect living like that.
And then, oh man, that guy Tommy died. Oh, what did you do wrong? Well, I guess I didn't try hard enough to help him. I could have said more and done more. So when it comes to something like that, I think that what happens is I got to realize that yes, I have a part, but that it's up to the power.
What
It's up
power?
to the power.
What power?
The power.
Wow.
It's like okay, so yeah. Listen, okay. Let's say you're painting a piece and it's freaking it's incredible. It's like it's all coming together. It's beautiful. It's all working out, and you know that there's some, but you know that there's inspiration here. There's something in this that's beyond yourself. Am I right? Or is it just you? And it's not beyond yourself? Because maybe I'm just putting words in your mouth here.
Okay, so there's a lot to unravel. There's a lot to unravel here. I need to walk through this so that it's clean and that I'm saying I'm hearing you properly and you're hearing me properly. For me, what I'm saying is why this all got started was with what words you use, and then it's kind of like I don't understand why you say certain things the way you say them. And you say them with conviction, and then it's like as we break it down, you're like, well, actually, no. Well, actually, da, da, da. It's like, okay, so if I know that's going to be the end result, why do we have to play the game to get there every time? Where I've already learned these I've already experienced this. I have evidence where it's like, okay, this is where God gets credit. This is where I get credit. This is where I go home after a medallion. I don't look for someone to say good job, but I go, good job, Tyler, for stepping up. Good job for being a fucking man. When the opportunity came, you had the courage to step up and be a good fucking man. That's nothing to do with God. Nothing. That's me. I am responsible. Again, it sounds like you should be saying at the end of the meetings, God is responsible because you're not taking any credit, remember. You're not giving any credit to yourself. You're not taking any responsibility. You're leaving it up to a fucking mystery. And that's not
so can you just say, do you have the ability to just say, okay, when all these good things are happening and I'm doing, I'm making this happen. All this good stuff's happened. This is all about me. I'm making this happen, right? I'm doing, I got it going on. And then when the shit hits the fan and things aren't going well, I'm making this all shitty. This is all about me. I'm screwing this all up, and I'm ruining people's lives or whatever, right? So you take the blame, you take the credit.
Absolutely, but that's only one component. There's a lot that is unexplainable. There is a lot of mystery to life. But what I was saying was, I originally said to you was like, I believe that you give God too much credit. And what I was really saying is that you're not giving yourself credit, when in my reality, it's very important to measure those findings.
But what if I believe, and I'm in a place where I believe that I don't need to take the credit. I don't want to feed my ego. I just don't want to.
It's not about ego. It's about honesty.
Yeah, but no, it's not. It's about ego. In my opinion, if I need to take the credit, if I'm looking for ways to take credit and I'm wanting to take credit for something, I believe I'm feeding my ego. And what if I don't want to do that because I just don't think it serves me. It doesn't bring me to a happy place. And like I said, when I've been there. I've been in that place where I believe that I've done something, I've accomplished something, I'm on top of the world, and I'm feeling like I'm, the cat's ass and everything's good, but it's empty. It's not sustainable. It's not like it doesn't complete me, right? getting things, doing things, accomplishing things, all that stuff is just, it doesn't fulfill me. What does fulfill me is feeling that I'm part of something greater, but I'm just a part of that, and it feels good just to be part of that. I don't have to be the reason for it. I don't have to take credit for that. I just like to be part of that, and I believe, and I truly believe that when I'm in that place where I feel like some great things are happening around, and I'm part of that, but not necessarily fully responsible for that, I think I feel better than if I were to believe that I am the reason for it.
Yeah, I said that this is a really good one because I believe that you're not being honest with yourself. I believe that you're not look. I believe that that with using that kind of mentality, then you can just leave. You can leave the rock left unturned. Like it's like there's so much more than that. There's so much more meaning than just that to kind of go, well, it's like it's all out of my control and there's something else taking managing everything as if like there's something more like if you stop yourself there, then you're selling yourself short.
Yeah, maybe, but maybe there's a path to follow that is the right path to follow. And when I'm tuned into the power, I'm able to see what the right path to follow is. And if I'm not tuned into the power, then I can choose my other paths that are self fulfilling, but maybe selfish and self-centered and dishonest and things like that, and it's not good for me. And hey, I can choose to follow that path. That's the human side of things. I believe that there is the path to follow. I mean, not necessarily. I shouldn't say I 100% believe this, but I'm saying that this could be it, right? This could be that there is the path to follow, and if I follow that path, I'm probably going to be happy and things are going to unfold the way they're supposed to, even though maybe there's not as much in it for me. Ultimately, because of the way I feel about it, about doing the right thing, that will be what's best for me, even though I may not see it that way. Like I can cut corners, maybe make a little bit more money for myself doing it this way, or I can just do it the right way, above board, follow the path, and ultimately maybe make a little bit of less money, maybe do it, but I'm doing it the right way. And I know that that's the path. And when I do it that way, I feel better because I know it's the right path. And I think that's the God side versus the human side. The human side is the self-centered, selfish, cut corners, and maybe take all the credit. Let the ego be in charge here. Or, for me, like, okay, like I believe that I'm happier when I try to put the ego aside as much as I can and connect to the power as much as I can. Because I can't be in ego and in God at the same time.
God is responsible when anyone anywhere reaches out for help.
All right, there you go. Okay, I don't know, man. I mean, it could just be me. Maybe that my mind is so messed up that when I take credit for things, I can't handle it, and when I take blame for things, I can't handle it. So maybe I'm just so screwed up that I prefer to let God take the credit and the blame, or at least not necessarily the blame, but I think when things go wrong, it's usually the human side of things that
Oh,
screw up.
come on. You sound like God right now.
Then you should listen.
I'm taking notes.
If that's what you're hearing, then you're hearing what you're supposed to be hearing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So my final thought is, okay. So I was a lost individual who had an addiction problem. I discovered a program that alleviated and helped me to abstain from mood-altering substances. Through that program, I found new meanings to life, and I found a relationship with a higher power that made me feel okay in my own skin. Okay?
Yep.
I then also was able to interact with other human beings and somewhat as a member of society. Okay?
Sounds pretty good. Sounds pretty good.
Right, good. Yeah. And then as life goes on, I make a decision to continue to stay in that realm because I want to keep what I have.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's working. And I make a decision to stay in that network and that using those God-inspired directions, even if you want to call it. I make the decision to stay in that realm because I want to keep what I have and I want to continue to grow as a human being. At the end of the day, it's not up to God. It's not up to anything. It's my call. At the end of the day, you know what? An engine from an airplane could fall through the apartment and crush me right now. That's not my call. I can take no credit for that. If it's my time to go, it's my time to go. That's out of my control for the most part. There's things like eating healthy, staying active, doing things, keeping a healthy brain, a diet for my brain, a healthy diet for my body, things like that to sustain a longer period of time on the planet as best as I can. But there's some things that I give credit to God when it's my time to go, when it's other people's time to go. I'm not a wizard. I'm not above and beyond reality. Perhaps God is, but I am not.
Okay.
Okay. But what I do to on a daily basis, my daily interactions is my business.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the facts. And if you want to muddy, you can muddy it up, or you can make it really clear with using your logic of just indicating, well, I don't need to know all that. It's just God's business. I'm going to put it all into the God's business box. I haven't lived that way for a long, long time because I don't grow as an individual unless I know what my business is. And in my business box, there is some credit. There is some places where I need to grow and where I'm responsible and I failed and I messed up. But that's my box. And then maybe I can use the help of a higher power to grow and make changes and get the extra strength to get out of bed, things like that. But I don't like giving God too much credit because then I'm just creating stories. I'm creating something that's not reality. I have enough experience now. I don't need to rely. I don't need to rely on a lie or a made up story to make myself feel okay. It's not. I just don't want to live like that. It makes life a little bit harder, I think, but it's more meaningful and it's more in depth and more, in many cases, exciting because the ball's in my hands. And then the last words is, okay, let's walk even further with. So originally the concept was, which we both agree to disagree on this, is, okay, God, take the wheel. And if you took the wheel, you'd crash, right? So then let's imagine you said, okay, I want to ask God for directions. Well, then you'll just be sitting in the parking lot. because you ain't gonna get any fucking lightning bolt, son, with a mat on it. You're gonna have to make that call. You need to take some responsibility for reality. It's not
right.
It's not just like
Right. That's right. But you know what, Tyler? Here, let me tell you something. When I ask for guidance, ask for help, I get direction.
okay, but don't ask for help and you'll still get direction. So now what?
Okay. Well, I trust the direction when I ask for help better.
Well, okay.
I feel more confident with my decisions when I ask for help for them. Put it that way.
Yeah, maybe I do too.
Okay, you ready to wrap it up?
No,
No. Okay.
I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Is there any prayer? We pray. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, courage to change the things we can, and wisdom to know the difference.
Such a